God, Mum, you're not on Tinder.
Most people call it plenty of fuck.
We're going to make you a profile.
The Playing with Matches podcast, where women talk about their experiences dating online. Hello, and welcome to Playing with Matches, episode 7. Thank you for sticking with us, or welcome if you're new. Today we meet Jane. Jane has spent much of her working life as a floor trader, as in stocks and shares, not carpets and tiles. She talks about the difficulty of dating someone who earns less money than you. She doesn't suffer fools gladly, or those who have lied on their profiles. She is also a self-confessed snob, which she apparently gets from her mother. And in relation to that, she reads out her own profile at one point, which is always fascinating. She also calls out one particular dating app as a knocking shop and comments on the phenomenon of men holding fish in their profile pictures. What is that about? Jane was interviewed during the second UK lockdown over Zoom, and the strange groaning noises in the background are actually her dog, not someone tied up, I think. So here is Jane. I'll be back at the end for a quick roundup. Until then, take it away, Jane.
I'm Jane. I was born in London, which my mum gets very upset that I admit I was born in Walthamstow, but because she's a snob, and I wonder why I'm a snob. And I grew up in Hertfordshire, in Broxbourne, and lived there till probably my early 20s. Pretty standard stuff, very sporty. We lived at most of our lives at our sports club, played hockey, tennis, etc., squash. So that was very much my life. And then I decided to not go to university, which was, I think, horrible to my parents because they thought I was bright enough and I probably should have gone, but I didn't. And then a bizarre set of coincidences got me sitting on a trading floor. Had no idea where I was, what I was doing. I owe it to my mum, really, because when I decided to do my A-levels, my mum told me, whatever you do secretarial skills as well, because you can always use secretarial skills. And sure enough, I got a job as a secretary, and then I went as a job for an interview at a company, a Japanese bank. And the HR lady, bless her, just looked at my CV and all my O-levels and A-levels and said, what on earth are you doing being a secretary? And so she took me up onto the trading floor, and the rest, as they say, is history. Had such fun. I mean, ridiculous, from 84, you can imagine, right through to the mid-90s. I always say I think I was probably drunk from 84 to 94, maybe to 96, actually, when I had my daughter, but I got married in 94. So it was ridiculous, as you've seen on all the classic films of Wall Street, etc. It really was ridiculous, but the best ever time. And that's how I met my husband. We were friends. He was a client as well. And so we got married, and I then had moved to South London. I was living around Blackheath, Greenwich sort of area, and easy enough commute still. And he moved in with me into my flat in Greenwich. And then we have gradually moved south. So now I'm just outside Tunbridge Wells. Since then, I've trained, and I'm now an image consultant. So I work with individuals and with corporates. I separated from my husband 14 years ago. He's a really nice guy. It wasn't a big fallout or anything like that. We weren't supposed to be together. I mean, I wouldn't change it because obviously I've got my kids, but we weren't right together. Bless him. Since then, I've dated on and off, and obviously been online dating on and off ever since then. And I've met some really, really great people. I have one partner who I met 12 years ago, who I've dated on and off over the 14 years. And my daughter, every time I'm single, screams at me, "Don't you dare go back." So far, I haven't gone back. And I've met some really nice people. David and I were seeing each other on and off over about a 12-year period. About 3 and a bit years originally, then a couple of little sort of 6-month bits, and then 3 years in the last time we were seeing each other, and that was about 2 years ago that ended. So apart from that, really, it's only been 6 months, the odd year thrown in, but it's been a lot of very strange dating, really. So I decided to try online dating because one thing you really do hit as a roadblock, which I think probably the women will say more than the men, is that suddenly you don't get invited to anything anymore. So if you're a man and you're single, the women will say, oh, invite Mark along for supper because, he's on his own. But women don't really seem to want to invite single women along to be involved with anything to do with their husbands. Perhaps that's, but you do seem to get dropped from a lot of things, and also if you're an odd number, the old school dinner party doesn't really quite work. So online seemed like the most sensible thing, and an easy way, and it was fun. It was definitely fun to start with. When I first went online, I mean, goodness me, back to the Plenty of Fish days. I will not go anywhere near that one anymore. The Knocking Shop. It's a really strange environment, and it was okay to start with because I can understand where it comes from, because I think if you've been in a relationship where someone has not come anywhere near you, your partner's not come anywhere near you for a long time, it's just lovely to have somebody that is wanting to make a fuss with you or even have sex with you. Just feel like, oh, I haven't got two heads and don't look ghastly. There is a human being out there that does fancy me. So I can understand why there's always going to be a place for it, because people that have just come out of relationships and are going, well, this is great, but it just became wrong as far as I was concerned. It got trashier and trashier, and I don't think I've been on the site for probably about 6 or 7 years now, but I definitely wouldn't go back there. There's quite a few genuine guys out there that aren't that bad, but it's just, are they right for you? I mean, I'm pretty unusual, I would say. I'm very forthright, and I spent best part of 20 years as a trader, so I've got a potty mouth. I have to really be careful what I say. I have very little filter, so if I'm thinking something, it tends to just be said. And I'm horribly independent, in as much as if somebody tries to do something for me, like I don't know, put up a curtain pole, I get really arsey. It's like, I'll do it, so it's a strange amount of independence, that I'm independent from that side of things. But yeah, I hate being on my own. So I want somebody to be with me, but I can't bear being fawned over. So if somebody's all over me, I'm like, no, enough. So it's a really strange thing. I would much rather someone was strong with me. I can't bear, my ex-husband was, bless him, lovely, but I'd just walk all over him. I need somebody strong. I need someone to tell me what to do and put me in my place, for sure. Oh no, I don't mind them putting me in my place. I just don't want them to put the curtain rail up. It's so difficult because this time, clearly, I'm not in a position to do it. But my friends all tease me because I was the queen of first dates, because I don't think you can ever get to know somebody via text or WhatsApp or whatever, because people have a chance to think about what they're saying. They could have somebody sitting next to them answering for them, their daughter or whatever. So I hate all that. So I'd sort of, within reason, give most people a chance to meet once, because immediately then if you're going to get on, or it's very different. But that tends to come back and bite you on the arse as well, because then I've been accused of being all sort of stuck up cow and all sorts of things. It's like, well, if we don't get on, we don't get on. It's like, well, why did you meet me then? Because I didn't know until we're sitting here. It's pretty instant, isn't it? When you meet somebody, and there's so much you can hide. I'm really painting myself in a great light. If people can't spell, I'm off. Just if their grammar's terrible, I'm like, no, that's it. I'm out of here. It's a really strange thing. And also the sad thing is, they could be dyslexic, so that I really have to be careful. So I do have to be careful and not be a complete snob. But and you just feel like, oh no, that's just going to irritate me. It's no wonder I'm still single. I left my husband 14 years ago. So I think Match was always the first, because Match is the one you've heard of, and I just thought, well, also, I had it in my head that if somebody had paid to be on a site, then they were probably genuinely looking for somebody. Whereas all the free sites, you feel a little bit like, people are going to chance their arm. So it worked for a little while. I met some really nice people, don't get me wrong, but it's very difficult. This is why I tend to be called a snob and everything else, because much as it's lovely to say that money doesn't matter, but you do need to be in a similar earnings bracket. Otherwise, it just becomes untenable, because things that one wants to do, not necessarily either way, it's all very well, a man pays and he can, take somebody with him, etc. But if it's a woman that is earning more money or has more money than a man, it becomes very complicated. You either get people who just want to use you and just think, oh, you're a meal ticket, or you feel awkward. It becomes embarrassing, really. I dated a guy who we liked, and we all liked. My children met him, etc. And he was very honest. He told me at the end, after his disposable income was about 37 pence a week. And you sort of think, well, I don't know what to do with that. We go out to lunch. It's, very romantic, the thought that money doesn't matter, etc. But unfortunately, quite often it does become an issue. I did go on sugar daddies at one point, not because I wanted a younger man or anything like that, but because in a way, you knew the men on there were had a certain income. So I thought, well, at least, then you can sort of say, well, I'm not interested in the slightest in a young toy boy or anything like that. But hopefully, there's going to be a situation where I might meet somebody who is of a similar income, and therefore it doesn't become awkward if I want to go to Rome for the weekend or whatever. But I don't think it really made any difference ultimately. There are people online who probably have pots of money. There are people online who really don't have lots of money. I've never paid to go on one of the sort of when it's all very bespoke to you and like proper matchmakers. I've never done anything like that. I have a friend who has, and met a very nice guy, but it was a lot of money. A friend of mine went on one of these dating sites and paid about £10,000, which was just phenomenal. For me, I'd love to know who somebody is going to come up with for £10,000. I did say, because I'm a bit of I'll have a go at anything, and my daughter and I have talked about actually having opening a dating site, because you sort of feel like seen it, done it, read the book after a while. But I don't know how anyone really pays that sort of money. And she did meet a very nice guy, but it didn't last. So do you get a refund? Can I have my money back, please? I'm very much, give everybody a chance, because you just don't know. And if somebody sends me a message, for example, on a dating site, I always responded, because like your mum says, when you're young, if a boy asks you to dance, you should dance with them, because it's taken a lot for them to pluck up courage to ask you to dance. So I thought, well, that's quite a nice thing to think of, that this guy has made a big effort to make the first move, so I should respond. And then unfortunately I just got more and more abuse about what a snob I must be, because I then didn't want to carry things on. And so then you start thinking, is it actually that rude to just not reply or delete it or whatever, which it doesn't sit very comfortably with me. I'd rather just say thank you, but not for me. It's a strange environment. I've had lots of very strange responses to me, I suppose. I was told I was obviously a fat cow, because I only ever put head and shoulders photographs. But the thing is, I've got quite a big pair of boobs, and every other time I put a photograph on where my boobs could be seen, all I got was nice tits. I'm very forthright on my profile. I'm not for everybody, that's for sure. And if you're really sweet, quite softly spoken man, I'm gonna you'll hate me, absolutely hate me. So I think getting the right thing. If my profile puts people off, That's got to be a good thing, actually, because people that can't cope with my profile definitely aren't going to cope with me in the flesh. This is my match profile. Ever the optimist, I'm back. I'm a bit ADHD, a bit stubborn, quite opinionated, pretty strong and horribly independent. But put that with the wish to be in a long-term relationship and ideally married again, it's really not easy. I love live sports if we're ever allowed out again, cars, food, definitely carrying some extra lockdown timber, live music and people. I'm one of those weirdos, according to my kids, that end up chatting with everyone in the pub, restaurant or supermarket. I can cook but hate housework, so don't expect any kind of Stepford wifey here. I'm as comfy in wellies as 4-inch heels. Hair colour varies, I get bored. My preference is tall, broad men with light eyes, but not a big fan of skinny. So if that lot hasn't put you off, give me a call. When you match and then you send a message and then they obviously then read your profile and disappear. Right, okay, another one I'm scared of. But there's no point. I can't see the point in being... yes, of course, we all love country walks, mainly because that's all we're allowed to do at the moment, and open fires and country pubs. And do we really need to put that on our profiles? It's a bit like the men that put fish. Really? I speak to other girlfriends that have been online, and they all swipe left for the bloke holding a fish. It's odd. Topless as well. I find that really strange. Loads of people put photographs of themselves when they're obviously lying in bed. You have this kind of this weird angle. To be fair, I'm probably, because of how it was when I was first single, I don't ever let it get to that point anymore that things get inappropriate. I mean, I wonder if the men know that sending the dick shots, it actually becomes like a coffee morning treat. And all these women are absolutely wetting themselves laughing at them. I wonder if there is actually any understanding of the fact that most women are really not interested in seeing a photograph of a willy, which is why I don't give my mobile phone number. The moment the guys go, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you, here's my phone number, WhatsApp me." Nah, that's not happening anymore. No, it just gets silly. Videos, that's worse. I had one guy, bless him, and again, you wonder what it is. Are they getting off on the fact that they've sent a video and they think someone is watching them? I really don't understand the psychology. You get wise to it, and as I say, WhatsApp, lovely, but yeah, nobody's getting my phone number until I'm really comfortable. I did have a work phone for quite a long time, so I'd be quite comfortable giving my work number out because that was really easy to ignore. But yeah, you knew you'd made it into the upper echelons if you got my private number. Bizarrely, I would rather meet someone even before I give them my telephone number, which I know I don't know if that sounds completely bonkers, but I just feel like I'm still anonymous then. If I agree to meet someone in a place at a certain time, they're not able to then just spam me or contact. I know you can always block someone, but it just feels horrible. But there have been guys that I've met who I really didn't think I'd get on with, who there has just been something, and we've got on and we have seen each other for a while. But sadly, because my life, etc., everything is here in Kent. Distance has always been an issue for me. I would not be prepared to up and move miles across the country. Again, it sounds fantastically romantic that you'd do anything for love. Yeah, not when you've got your kids in one place and your family in another place. I'm sorry, but it'd have to be pretty spectacular. So I do have lots of boundaries. And I'm still wondering why I'm single. So, Jane, how many hurdles have you actually put in front of you for these poor guys? I'll get there in the end. As I put in my profile, Ever the Optimist, I know people that have met online and have lived happily ever after and got married, etc. So it's just timing. It's ironic for me because I thought to myself 14 years ago, I'm going to have to leave my husband, because I thought, well, do I wait till the children are older? And then thought, I really don't want to be single when I'm 50. And then here I am at 54, still single. Maybe should have just stayed married. But it's one of those things, isn't it? I did the right thing at the right time, but you don't know how anything is ever going to pan out. There are people who just have affairs and stay married, but I couldn't live with that. And so when I got to the point when our relationship had obviously broken down to the point where we weren't even in the same room, where do you go from there? And I just thought, this is the time to end my marriage. And it's quite a selfish thing. As I say to the children regularly, it's the most selfish thing I've ever done. But I was lonely, which was the weirdest thing to say when you're married and you've got kids. It was a very lonely feeling. And so I ended my marriage, and it was not easy, really was not easy. I've had some fun over the years with some really, really lovely guys, and have travelled and have done all sorts of really fun stuff, but just haven't found the elusive one yet. If there is only one person for everybody, I think we're all in dastardly travel, because knowing my luck, they'll be out in Mongolia. I mean, my kids, it's hilarious because they recognise the notification noises. So I get a little beep, which I think is completely innocuous. And my kids go, "Oh, God, Mum, you're not on Tinder." I'm like, well, luckily, at my age, it's not the same environment as it probably is for your age group, but it does feel a little bit strange, Tinder still. It has that reputation. So I don't know if that's my favourite place. But I found literally last week, here's a new one, Facebook dating. That's been interesting, but it just makes me laugh. I screenshot quite often, even with Bumble and all the others, and when it says no one available, and even the match lady says, let's have a look and see if we can find somebody. So you click the button and say, yes, off we go, and she comes straight back saying, I have no one for you. And then, would you like to change your criteria? Well, no, that's the thing. No, I think I'm going to go on singles holidays first. That will be my next plan, I think. My mum's friend at 75 has met a new chap on a singles holiday. Yes, on a boat sailing along the Croatian coast. So who knows? Maybe that's the way forward. People are so different. I've met so many guys who get divorced and they want to get married again straight away, which I find fascinating, where the majority of men you meet are like, never again, I'm never, because it's horrible. People always say divorce is diabolical for men. They lose half of everything they've ever worked for, But it was the other way around for me. So I lost half of everything I'd worked for. But I always say that you become the sum of the parts again. You meet somebody else and you're back to where you were, probably. It's the higher earner that it's worse. It's tougher on. I think that's where divorce kind of really stings. You've only got to speak to a divorce lawyer, and they'll more or less tell you that a prenup's not really worth the paper it's written on. I've been for a walk a couple of times with a guy who I met on Bumble, who lives locally, and we've met up and gone for a walk a couple of times. Which is fine, but of course no contact. I really like him and he makes me laugh. That's a good first step at this stage. I don't think it's going to be my love story, but you, as I always say, you don't know. I met one guy this time and we went for a walk, and we'd got about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile, and he said, "Oh, should we sit down?" So, okay. So there was a bench. So we sat down opposite ends of the bench. It must have looked really bizarre. And he said, yeah, just need a moment. And I was thinking, oh my God, if you can't even walk without being out of breath and exhausted. And he said, I'm just a bit out of shape. I'm thinking, right, okay, there you go. Lied about your age, perhaps. They're the worst ones. They're the ones that really put my back up. Why lie about your age? You just think, what is the point in that? You're going to get caught out using old photographs. So what do you think? You're going to meet and then go, oh, actually, you're much older than I've seen your photographs, but that's okay because we get on. No, Why start any relationship with a lie? I met a guy who I wouldn't have picked out of a lineup from his photographs. I honestly think he maybe put his son's photographs on. It was hilarious, and then got really grotty with me because I said no, I wouldn't go for a drink with him. So you're deceitful, and I don't want to spend time with you when this was your photo you sent to me, and this is what you look like. But we got on really well. I said, but we've been texting like 3 days or something. It's hardly we've got on really well, is it? So again, back to you've got to meet face to face. I remember having a conversation with a really good friend of mine on dating apps, and she said to me, I wouldn't mind, Jane, but they're all bald. I'm like, yeah, you know what? We're 50 plus or minus. It's a thing. It's like there's not a whole lot of men that still have a full head of hair at our age. What exactly are you hoping for? Maybe you need a 27-year-old. I don't think money is as much an issue as it used to be for me, except just being on a similar level. I think that's all it is. I don't need some rich bloke to whisk me away all over the place. You know, I think things do become less important. But also, I love creating something out of nothing, if you like. So, you know, getting your cheapest EasyJet flights and then trying to work out where you can go exploring and that sort of thing. So I don't need the 5-star stuff. I don't get all the little nuances that the youngsters have. So you have this talking to somebody and then seeing, then dating, then getting with, and then boyfriend and girlfriend. And this whole new thing of having to ask if you want to be my boyfriend or you want to be my girlfriend, I find hilarious. As far as I'm concerned, if you're in a monogamous sexual relationship, you're boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't think I need at that point someone to say, will you be my girlfriend? I'm sleeping with you. Exactly. If I'm sleeping with you, you're my boyfriend. That's it. The first time I signed up on Tinder is because you think you're being very clever because you've set your dating, the age span. But obviously the men don't. And one of her friends from school saw me on Tinder. That went down like a lead balloon. Mother! But also, it's, again, oh gosh. Oh, there's another story for you. That's one they were. The kid's PE teacher. But it was one of those things that it came out afterwards. I did meet up with him. That was my little. I just thought, you know what? Gosh, this is 24-year-old going, you're lovely, you are. I'm thinking, yes, you're absolutely right, I am. But we just went out for a drink one time, which was really fun and, you know, great ego boost. And he said, oh, we'll do it again. I said, well, the only way we're going to do it again is if you introduce me to your mother first. He went, she's younger than you. Bloody hell. Time to move on. I think when you're first single, I'm sure everyone goes a little bit potty. And, you know, especially if you've come out of, it always sounds very dramatic, a loveless relation, a marriage or whatever. But my ex-husband didn't come anywhere near me for about 5 years. So, you know, you do then enjoy somebody what actually fancies you and you feel like a sexual being again. So it's a strange one, but yeah. So
that was Jane. I wonder how she's doing now. I wonder if the man who made her laugh did in the end become a significant part of her life. It would be nice to catch up with some of these women eventually. Let's see how we go. So thank you very much to Jane, and thank you to Joanna for setting this interview up, and to Elle for helping with the editing of it. And thank you out there for listening. Please do get in touch with us about anything related to the show. I'll be reading some emails out next week. Our address is playingwithmatchespodcast@gmail.com. So until then, good luck out there and on there. Bye-bye.